We are going to talk about a movie.
This is going to be a disaster.
It was one of the best movies of the year.
It's going to go so well. Probably one of the last movies I would ever want to see in a theater. What is going on, everybody? Taylor here, and today we have a very special episode for you. We're starting something brand new. Thank you to Disney Plus. Jacob, welcome.
Thank you very
As
much.
usual, we also have Nick here.
Hello.
And we are going to be talking Mandalorian.
We are.
Very excited.
Are we excited?
Yes.
I'm pretty dang excited.
I'm pretty excited to talk about this. So obviously Disney Plus launched
Yes.
in the US. It has not launched here in Australia just
Not
yet.
yet.
We are definitely legally watching this.
We are.
We actually are. That's the funny part.
Thank you to me.
Yes. And yes, definitely.
Yes, and
Yeah,
yes.
there's no one else to thank right
no,
now.
no, it's just Taylor. And her American credit card. So it launched on Tuesday. We got the first episode, and tonight
And we just finished watching the second one.
we did.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start by saying this show is shot beautifully.
Yes.
That is the first thing that I immediately noticed with this show. It reminds me of Rogue One, how much I like the way that Rogue One is
absolutely.
shot. And that right off the bat just made me so excited. As someone who's very visual, I've always been that if you get the visuals and those really work,
Yeah.
I'm in. So first, right off the bat, I was in. What was your first impression of the show?
My first impression was, the visuals. I mean, it felt very gritty, and I know that's now basically become kind of a bad word in terms of pop culture. Is it looked gritty and dark? Like, it's not that
Not
I
even
like
bad, but more so just common now. Like everything is trying to be gritty.
But it's not the fact that it's dark and gritty, and I needed my Star Wars to be dark and gritty. I just liked that for this character, for this story that they were telling, it made sense because we're seeing more the underworld and the scum of the Star Wars universe.
We're very much going down a couple of classes to what we're used to
Exactly.
seeing.
Yes,
And I like the fact that the visuals are representing that. I agree with you that it does feel very Rogue One-y. It does feel very... The style is, okay, this is another form of Star Wars that we haven't seen since Rogue One.
Right.
And that we hadn't really ever really seen before Rogue One. And I really do like that they've gone, okay, that's the kind of thing story we're telling.
Yeah. What about you?
You really just took all the words out of my mouth. That's because, like, obviously, just to be, the third person to say that visually, it's stunning. Dave Filoni, first live action directing, I think, and it looks incredible. He obviously has so much to do with Star Wars and has had so much to do with Star Wars for a long time that he's the perfect pick. And he was my only concern going into a live action. I was like, Jon Favreau writing. It's the first time doing Star Wars as well.
Yeah.
I was like, these two together can do some amazing stuff and knocking it out of the park the way they have. But I think what I enjoyed the most, especially about the opening scene in the bar, was it had that sort of mysterious feel that we had going into that original trilogy of Star Wars when we don't know. We know it's in space. We know it's a galaxy far, far away, but we don't know where we are in time. We don't know where we are in setting. And it did so well straight away to get you to go, this is not the Star Wars this is not the characters you love. These are people who live in this universe, who you are going to get a brand new story out of, and it is going to feel like the mystery of Star Wars, like you've never seen it before. And it hit that tone straight away for me.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And kind of going back to, like I said, we're seeing a completely different class of characters here. We're seeing perspectives that we haven't really seen before, at least not on this level where it's a whole series that we just get to spend in this kind of perspective. But I will say that along with the tone, I think they got the pacing really well. I really like the way it's paced, and I really like the length of the episodes.
Yes,
I feel like
absolutely
they suit the stories they're telling. They're using the time that they need to tell the story they want to tell in each episode, which is really great. And I do want to, I know we're kind of just going through and talking about both episodes. Something I do want to touch on, just because we did just see the second episode. The opening of the second episode, to me, was done so brilliantly. There is no dialogue.
Yes,
and you're engrossed in everything that's happening without any words. And
for
if you,
about almost almost 20 minutes probably.
Yeah.
There is no
Probably,
English
yeah.
dialogue. There
Well,
is
that's and again, I think that's a massive strength to their casting and
Yes.
the courage of Pedro to be in this film in this series where he has decided I'm not going to show my face.
Yes.
So far, at least, we're 2 episodes
right.
in and we haven't seen his face. And it's a character who is very quiet, and they're relying on that. Like when he speaks, you listen because
Yeah.
it's important. Like he doesn't just.
There's
talk
no
for
throwaway lines.
Yeah,
It's-
and I really do appreciate that. I think that I can't remember from the first episode when his first line of dialogue, but it's not for about 15 minutes. Like it's a while
Yeah,
in,
he does talk in the first scene, but it's very more head nods and when he's
and I do really appreciate that. I think that the fact that they're able to use a visual medium for their storytelling instead of just relying on dialogue is a real strength to the creative team, to Pedro, to everyone who is involved in
it's
the
the show don't tell rule. It's like the most simple rule of filmmaking, and we're finally getting it in something we love, and that's it. Invested, like you said, he commands your eye, like not just the cinematography, but the Mandalorian himself. Is so. He strikes his importance so early on that you can't help but be like, I need to know so much more. And that's how you get invested for the rest of the season.
Exactly.
Considering the first 2 episodes don't have a lot going on.
No.
Like we have the perfect start of a story over 2 episodes, and we have so much more that we could get involved in, which is great.
Absolutely. I think basically what we've all just touched on is the world building has been fantastic in these first 2 episodes. It's really setting up a world that you're invested in, that you want to learn more about, especially with all these fun little side characters we've been getting introduced to have been really great. They're not just throwaway little characters. They've all had their really good moments.
The Jawas coming back.
Exactly.
It's hilarious.
Something that I do really love is that we are 2 episodes in, and though this isn't the Star Wars we're used to, it feels Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it feels very much that we are inside Star Wars.
It's the perfect definition of expanded universe.
Yeah.
We know we're watching something Star Wars not just because it's called Star Wars The Mandalorian. Like, it feels like I'm there. Because we were talking about, we can't remember if it's set on Tatooine or not. I can't remember in the first episode they said. But, like, immediately you just get that feel and you get that space opera sort of vibe. And for, 2 guys who first time live director and someone who's never written Star Wars before to do that is incredible. Yeah.
Well, it is incredible. We're living in a time now where you have people writing and directing Star Wars who loved it as kids. Like we're coming into that age now where people who it really had an impact on their lives growing up are now getting to helm these things, which is fantastic because this is the kind of stuff that you can get.
Well, that's it. Yeah. People who love it.
Exactly.
But I think we need to bring up.
I feel like I know where this is going.
I think we need to bring it up, guys, because the whole reason I stayed off of Twitter until we actually watched the first episode because we knew there was a big spoiler coming.
So,
sorry, I thought you were going to reveal.
No, I'm waiting for someone to go there.
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
Thank you.
Here's the thing, and we can get into the mechanics and the perspective of that, but it's not Baby Yoda. It's just it's Yoda's species.
Yes.
Right?
I don't think anybody actually knows
yeah.
the answer to that question.
I mean,
No, but
but here and to me,
they axe that in Last Jedi when he's the ghost.
Yeah.
So we don't know though.
I really love that reveal because the whole first episode is setting up someone.
Right.
It's
right.
you know, knowing that there was a big giant spoiler at the end of the episode, which I mean, most people knew if you were online, that most people have been saying the reason Mandalorian hasn't been screened is there is something that happens at the end of the first episode that we do not want
that big,
that we don't want getting out there. Because I mean, now they've screened the next 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So it was clear that they didn't want this getting out there.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there going, what is it? Like my mind went Luke. I thought possibly Luke, that they know where Luke is and they want him either alive or if you have to kill him, kill him.
That's what I was going to bring up. Sorry, it's just that line there is never going to point you towards the direction of firstly a child.
Yeah.
Like we can bring him back alive or dead, and it's just a little less money. So that's the first part of the reveal that throws you. It's a baby.
It's a baby that is 50
The
years
cutest damn thing. Big old ears. But
yeah, I really love the reveal. I thought it's smart. It opens a world of possibilities, and and not only that, but it opens up a world of possibilities of where this show and story can go. Now that, okay, one, we don't know if it is Yoda, which I'm leaning on the side that it's not, like that it's just it is Yoda's species. Who are very in tune with the Force. Like, I don't know, really dive into the
lore
of the expanded universe of Star Wars. Like, I've watched the movies and some of the TV shows, but
I do think, though, that just touching on that before we get a million miles away and I forget what I want to say, that in this second episode tonight was very interesting. When we see someone witness the power of the Force and he doesn't know what the hell is going on.
Exactly. Yeah, and he says it. He's like, I've never seen something like this before.
I love that idea that we are getting. I mean, we heard it in Force Awakens that, I thought Luke was a myth.
Yeah.
And we've seen that over the course of, through this new trilogy, that the Force died. Or not died, but...
Well, there was no one using it. It was a life force that was not getting life put back into it.
People weren't talking about it, and people weren't...
No one with the midichlorians.
But, like, that was where the galaxy had gone.
It became this story that people would tell each other, but no one actually had seen...
It became a bedtime story. Right. So I like the idea that even though it is a bedtime story, there are still people out there who have no idea what this power
which
is.
is cool.
Yeah, it's an awesome, interesting idea to explore, and I'm curious to see if they do further explore that. If if we start seeing the idea of the Mandalorian becoming more and more, not Force sensitive or anything, but like
aware of the past.
Well, here's a question: where do you think it's going from here? Where do you think they take this now?
I'm guessing someone in the next episode is coming for the child.
I think that's going to be the main center of just him realizing that this is so much more than just a bounty.
Exactly.
And he needs to protect it for the future of the galaxy.
And that's where I'm very curious about what is going to happen to this type of character. Is he going to end up having at the start, all about money and honor? Because there's this, and I want to get back to that scene, but the scene where he meets the other Mandalorian is fascinating to me. But is that going to be his arc? Is that he starts as a man who doesn't have honor, who is all about his honor and money, to a man who's willing to give up his honor for the good of the galaxy. Good. Yeah. And I have a feeling that could be the arc,
the hero's journey. Ultimately,
exactly, and
which is amazing.
But that's Star Wars. Like, Star Wars has always been the hero's journey. It's always been,
when it's done well, it's
exactly.
It's so enjoyable. And you feel good about it. Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked if that is the ultimate grand plan. I have a gut feel that the kid's not making it out of this show, but it's just a gut feel for me.
Dark and gritty.
No, I have a feeling it will be an ultimate. It will be a bittersweet thing. Okay. Like, I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but again,
I like where you're going with it.
I'm more thinking about where Force Awakens has to come in at some point. Okay. Force Awakens has to come.
So Force Awakens is still about 25 years away.
Yes,
in this
and that's
story,
the thing. Like, there is still, and again, the Force is, at this point, from what we understand, the Force is still being used because there is a certain child named Ben who does still use the Force. There is another Jedi who is training a group of Jedis.
Yeah, so that's the thing.
That is something else happening out there. So, I mean, I'm curious where this story goes. I'm also curious if we do get any cameos.
Right. Well, that's kind of what I was at. Like, do we think anyone's actually going to pop up? That it will tie it back into anything else, or maybe not so much?
I don't think we get an appearance. So I don't think, like, Mark Hamill turns up. I don't think anyone, like, big actually turns up. I will be shocked if Luke's name isn't mentioned by name.
I was just thinking that. I think we could definitely get a Skywalker mention.
I think we're going to get. I think we will get a Luke mention. even a Han mentioned. Like, I think
Yeah.
that could happen. The one that I do think possibly could turn up, if anyone is going to, is Snoke. I think that could be the one that we get. Okay, here
Is Snoke the one looking for the baby?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Like, is he working for Snoke? Like,
Yeah.
if maybe, and that could be where that goes.
Is Werner Herzog Snoke?
Maybe.
I love that Werner Herzog was in this.
I know.
Like,
I have a feeling he's going to.
play a bigger role.
No, I have a feeling he will turn up in maybe one more episode and then
right.
cark it. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think we're seeing a lot of Werner Herzog.
I'm a bit. This is the most random thing. I remember when they mentioned that Werner Herzog was going to be in it, but I completely forgot from it. And I turned it on and I was like, hello, I'm Werner Herzog. And I was like, that's the best. He's the weirdest person alive.
Well, going back to where you wanted to touch on, let's talk about that scene with the other Mandalorian, because it was very fascinating.
So, I read some because the internet's amazing. Someone,
That's a way to start it.
Someone had put up a comment going, oh, we're one episode. It's so short. The episode's so short. There's no character development on this guy. And my gut and my response was, there are literally 2 scenes dedicated solely to character development. One is where he shoots IG-11.
Yeah.
Because he shoots IG-11 for the child.
Yes.
Like, it's clear that
until
that,
that point,
Yeah.
they were a team, and he was completely
Well,
on.
they're both
Yeah.
bounty hunters.
on the
They were
bounty
both,
hunting team.
Yeah.
just trying to survive.
And then within a split second,
because it's a child.
Yeah.
It's now, again, his bounty is to bring it alive or dead.
yeah.
So again, we don't know what his still motivation is,
but we know there's a certain line for him.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, there's
because
a morality.
I-11 wanted to just.
Yes.
Oh, it's just easier.
Yeah,
if it's
exactly.
just dead.
Also, just mad shout out there, Taika Waititi.
So good.
I mean,
It
it
was-
was
it
so
was very
funny.
And
yeah.
IG-11 was IG-11 lived up to the promise of IG-11.
Yes,
we had never
absolutely.
seen IG-11
No.
ever in a live action format.
No.
The actual functionality of him as a bounty droid is sick.
Oh,
yeah.
heck yeah.
It's
Like,
so
so,
fun.
and so not IG-11. We'd never seen an IG unit in live action.
Yeah,
like,
okay,
work,
Do its shit, yeah, yeah.
its stuff. And man, did it live up to the hype. Like, they fulfilled the promise of an IG unit, and I thought that was really well handled and really well done. I liked basically the whole way that scene was handled. But going back to the Mandalorian scene, what I loved is that there is clearly a story there that's being told visually
Yeah.
that we don't know yet.
Yes.
And I like that. I have a feeling this show is going to be one that will have a rewatchability at the end of, okay, that's what that meant. Oh, that's what that meant.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that
Well,
meant.
I said to
And-
Taylor before we watched episode 2 how much I actually wanted to watch. Just time didn't let me, but how much I wanted to watch episode 1 again.
Yeah.
Not even just preparation, but I feel like there is just so much happening in the show for a show that has barely any dialogue and barely any story that's happened over 2 episodes. For me to go, there's a lot more happening here.
Yeah.
They're doing something super right at the moment.
Realistically, we've seen an hour 10.
Yeah.
About an
Approximately.
hour and 10 minutes of screen time in 2 episodes, which, I mean, a lot of people say, 2 episodes should be 2 hours, which I'm glad they're not.
Depends the story
exactly
you're telling.
like
we're not dealing with Game of Thrones level 100 characters here.
Yeah.
We've basically really the main players of the game are 4 or 5 characters at the moment.
And I like the fact that there is no standard, that Disney
Yeah.
Plus have just kind of gone, well, you know what? Our story, this is what we want to do with this episode. This is what we want to do with this one. This is what we want to do with this one.
Well, and
Someone has to
when
stream in
you're
life.
when you're putting it in the hands of writers and directors that like Jon Favreau, Taika Waititi at
Yeah.
some point is gonna have the
Yeah, he's
directing
directing.
chair.
he's
like,
he's got
like
a
when you have people
think
like
7.
that with with their hands on the project that have
Yeah.
shown you
Who,
what they can do. Why wouldn't
over
you?
many facets
Right.
of film,
Right.
and we've obviously both Jon Favreau and Taika in Marvel Universe,
Yeah.
Dave Filoni in Star Wars, whoever directed who directed tonight's episode, Rick Famuyiwa or something.
Yeah,
he's done something.
He's done
I'm gonna
other
look it up
things.
real
Yeah,
quick.
all right,
I'll
you look
have a
that
quick
up. But again, that's just something I really enjoyed about this show.
That scene in particular, to me, it doesn't seem like much on the surface level, but there's so much that opens
Oh,
up a
yeah.
story of just that simple interaction of this one thing can help so many.
Yeah.
Which
and-
you don't really fully understand, at least for someone who, like you said, we don't really jump very far into a lot of the extra lore. But also just seeing him get a piece of armor to
Yeah.
add on.
and
is
how
just-
much that meant.
Right. It's so interesting.
Dope. He did Dope.
That's
which
it.
is
And he was going to do Flash.
and he was going to do Flash. But Dope,
Him and every
so
other
he's
male
proven
in
himself
Hollywood.
as well. You know what I mean? But Dope is such a visually impressive movie. Not necessarily that its cinematography is so sharp, but the way it's edited together and the way
Yeah.
it's put together is that he's such a visionary too. So the fact that they're getting people in here who are so well renowned already.
Well, that's I give huge credit and props to Disney Plus for doing that. At least they're, they've got a property that they could have just mailed it in.
Yeah.
Realistically, like they could have.
Everyone was going to watch this.
Exactly.
10 million people signing up to
Yeah.
Disney Plus. We're going to watch The Mandalorian no matter what.
And
It's been a while, I think, since I've seen so many people. Like, as soon as that Mandalorian trailer dropped,
Yeah.
everything just
It was
stopped.
almost
Like,
as big as Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's on the same levels. Like, Stranger
Which
Things
is-
trailer drops,
which
everyone
is-
freaks out, but
Yeah.
not to this
Oh,
level.
no. It was the craziest thing I've seen in a long time. So you knew that, which... the fact that the Disney Plus app is functioning at all at this point
Yeah.
it was
with,
a minor
with
miracle.
how
Yeah.
many people are probably
The fact that
trying
we watched a full episode with no issues.
The fact that so far we've been able to watch 2 episodes with
Yeah,
no
there we go.
issues.
Yeah.
I think the fact that we're in Australia, where time zones are a completely different thing, help a lot. So
probably.
So we watched it around 6:30 p.m. our
Yeah.
time. What is that?
that's 12:30 in LA. 12:30
so everyone's
a.m.
at work.
So everyone's asleep.
Oh, everyone's like, oh, it's midnight.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they each episode will drop at midnight.
Only
for
nerds
us.
are awake at that time of day.
That's great.
Because I'm usually
Fantastic.
awake at that time.
But was there anything else that you guys really wanted to touch on that we haven't talked about yet?
Love Nick Nolte's character.
Yes.
I have spoken.
I have spoken.
That is the best line. Where
wanna-
he just throws it in there and you're like, you know what? Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Can't rebut that.
Did anyone think that he was actually going to stay on the ship?
Part of me wanted it. I was like, that would have been cool, little buddy cop.
Yeah.
Sort of, not
Part of
buddy cop,
me,
but, you know, like,
part of me was like, I don't want to see him go, but I don't feel like that's the format of this show.
Yeah,
is for him
I
to
agree.
start taking
Yeah.
other
That's
people
a good point.
unnecessarily along
Yeah.
with him. Like it feels like
especially people who will slow him down, like this very ancient
Yeah.
old alien. Yeah.
I just thought maybe there was to me, episode 1 and 2 felt very much like a pilot. Like this
Yeah.
was the first episode. These two combined were the first episode. They just wanted to end the first episode on
The massive twist.
On the
because they do. You
yeah,
see Baby
exactly.
Yoda, and then it's like, and directed by Dave Filoni. You're
Yeah.
like, what?
And
Yeah.
and that's why I feel like I have a gut feel that going forward the episodes are probably going to be about an hour long.
Yeah.
They just
that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But I do think that it was worth it for the impact you get of seeing
oh,
the
yes.
Baby Yoda and then being
Well,
like,
we were talking about it almost
Exactly.
as soon as because I watched it a lot later after you guys.
Yeah.
We were talking about basically all day after
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
And that's what they want. The more they talk, the more people are going to go, when's the next episode? Friday. We got to watch it Friday. We got to, yeah.
I just have to say that first there was BB-8 and then there was the Porgs and now I'm just like
Little
Baby Yoda, the cutest
That
thing
is
I've
going
ever
to
seen
sell
in my whole life.
so many
So
toys.
many toys.
So many toys.
Oh, but it was
It's
so
adorable,
cute.
though. He is an absolute
I-
adorable thing.
I love that, and it feels like it's a puppet. Like it's
does,
a puppet.
yeah.
Like
No, it has to
It
be.
has to be. There's
Has
no
to be.
way that's CGI. Like it feels
No,
like it's a puppet.
It feels like
And
OG Yoda felt
yeah,
when
that's
you watched
pretty
him,
awesome.
which
Real
is
smooth looking Yoda,
Yeah.
too. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
I
I don't know why I said that, actually, to be honest. I felt weird coming out of my mouth. I didn't
And
like that.
there's our opening clip. Oh gosh, but yeah, I want to say that we've talked a lot this year about things that we've been anticipating that have had the potential to really let us down. This to me, if it wasn't just awesome, I was gonna be so sad
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the trailers for this have all looked amazing.
They're all so badass.
you
the trailers
have
for this.
such an insane creative team like we just talked about
Mm.
behind this where you can tell they're putting so much time and passion and
Yeah.
creativity into all of this that the fact that it's come out and people are so excited about it is just it's a breath of fresh air in the Star Wars fandom, to be completely honest with you, because up until this point, it was getting hard to feel like you could even really talk about.
And especially when you're hearing things now from Disney where they're like, well, we're slowing down on the movie production, we're not going to pump them out as much. You know, they saw the demand there. We were all like, more Star Wars forever. And then we got the Star Wars we were like, oh, maybe good Star Wars forever. You know what I mean? To an extent. Yeah. So I'm glad, the same thing, that it lived up to a hype that we created, that we've gone, the trailer was so good, but we've been hurt by trailers before. Yeah. And that it's leaving us wanting so much more just from the show itself in 2 episodes. That's pretty damn good.
I mean, we've got 6 more to go. In between that, we've also got a Star Wars movie. And I mean, right now, anyone who's saying Star Wars is dead, you clearly
it's
are
dead to
not,
you.
Yeah, you're not paying attention because
you are just not enjoying what they're putting out, and that's a personal opinion,
which is fine. Like, but that does not mean Star Wars is dead. Yeah, it's
sick, and I'm enjoying it, and that's all that matters. Come at me, bro.
Exactly, and that's the thing. So, I mean, I'm really happy with this show. I'm really happy with these 2 episodes that we've gotten. I think they are filled with amazing worlds. I do not for 1 second feel like Star Wars has gotten smaller. This has just made it so much bigger. Yeah. And suddenly I am excited for Star Wars beyond the saga films.
Yeah. It's something that I think people have kind of talked about for a while, is wanting to expand the universe in canon, but the other stories that people want to see outside of our main saga,
without having to read all the books,
right? Or even without having to really hear the name Skywalker and be like, this is completely and we might, like you said, we'll probably hear it in this series, but at this point you haven't even really thought about it, just because.
And this is the first real franchise to ever really do something like this. We've had shows and movies do spin-offs before, and sometimes the most exciting parts of those spin-offs is where we get little throwbacks to the thing, and I think that's what's going to keep Star Wars so fresh and lovable. Like, the movies do their own thing, the Skywalker saga does its own thing to have its place and legacy in history, but when we just start hearing little bits and pieces about it, it's so much better just to be like, the mention of Skywalker, to be like, oh, I remember how good the saga was, as opposed to let's do more.
But what I love about this show is it's not reliant on them. So,
well, we haven't had a mention of Skywalker.
But like, one of my biggest issues with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was that show became so, like, at the
start,
that's
a good example.
It became just so reliant on the fact that, hey, Thor flew by. Hey, Iron Man's over there. Hey, like, it became so reliant at the start, at least. And I stopped watching, so please don't yell at me. You just
know that they were like, hey, Robert, do you want to just do like a little bit? He's like, I don't do television.
Yeah. But that's where I'm getting at. Whereas in here, if we do get the little mentions, if we do get these things, it doesn't feel like the show's relying on those, because it's
and hopefully they don't do that. Like, that's exactly
they've
the last
established their groundwork on, hey, this is our main character,
because they easily could have opened the show with like, Skywalker or something, and then
do you know what else they could have opened the show with a long time ago in a galaxy far away?
And they didn't.
I mean. Like, it's so cool.
Instead, they open with one of the single greatest logos I've seen.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Good.
It's cool.
It's
very cool.
There is one other thing that I think we would be remiss to not mention, considering this show is called The Mandalorian.
Yes.
Do we see a certain famous bounty hunter turn up at some point in this show?
A little bit of Fett action.
Now, he's not a Mandalorian, but he wears Mandalorian armor. Do we see? Do we get the confirmation he survived the Sarlacc pit?
That's exactly what I was about to say. Like, do we get like a little throwback to that too?
Like, I don't know. To me, if I don't think it will be in this season at all. I think if we do, it's the season.
That's what they end on.
It's the season 1 cliffhanger. It's the Bob is alive, and that's what they leave you, and you've got to wait.
I got a little bit giddy when you said that. I'm
exactly.
Not gonna lie.
Like that's what I mean. Like, it's there is going to be a cliffhanger. It's going, and
because they're doing season 2 now. So
exactly.
We know
season 2's filmed. I think it's finished.
They're filming. They just started filming season 2. Yeah.
So like, we know there's going to be a cliffhanger. We know for a fact. Like, for me, any cliffhanger they do is going to end on a reference to a character. Like, to me, that's the most obvious way that they do it. They go, okay, someone out there is alive or is about to influence something the next season.
Right.
And I think it's either Snoke or Boba Fett. They're my two predictions, and we'll see what happens over the course of the season, but they're my two predictions right now.
I like it.
Very interesting. Like we said, there's a lot of places this show could go. It's opened its doors pretty wide to a lot of possibilities of what we're going to get for the rest of this season and then going forward. But I think that pretty much touches on most of the things at least we wanted to talk about. I know that we're still really just trying to process a lot of what we saw.
Yeah.
But thank you guys both for being here to talk about it, because it would have been a lot more boring for me to just talk about it by myself, because I just would have been like, I don't have words and I can't, and Baby Yoda, and that would have just been the whole. That would have been just exactly.
Just you sitting there hugging a plush toy of Baby Yoda, going, "It's amazing."
Basically, if you want to see that content, please leave comments below, and I will start the Baby Yoda podcast.
That will cost $2 on Patreon.
Patreon exclusive. All right, we're definitely going to wrap this up, because this is just starting to go off the rails now. But if you guys want to find any of us on social media, all our links are going to be down in the description. There's links for everything, just a lot of things. I'm not even going to go into that because there's so much. But you can find them down in the description. Thank you guys so much for continually putting up with this channel, because the way we put out content right now is just we're just good. It's that. But thank you guys so much for sticking with us while we're trying to figure out our new system here with a lot of stuff going on. It's movie season, which means most nights we're trying to stay awake and go to movies after work.
Yes.
To bring you reviews. So we hope you enjoy them, and we will see you next time.